Hi everyone, I'm Caleb and welcome to a quick guide on automations in Chase Agents. The page I'm on right now is the Automations Marketplace, but before we get into that, let's answer the question, what exactly are automations? See, in Chase Agents you have the capability to automate your work with AI, and automations are a quick way to package your workflows into repeatable steps that you can run on a schedule or when a specific thing happens. So we can see on the automations marketplace, there are a couple of different automations, like for example, GitHub repo daily product update, expense report tracker and receipt processor. And we can see mail summarizer, AI powered domain finder. And these automations may be added by people in the community, like for example, Dino FXY and Chase Local and Mixed Moccasin Owl, or they may be added by the system, these editor's choice automations. I want to go through a demonstration of what exactly installing a very simple automation looks like. Mail summarizer, and we're just going to click on it. Before we get into the actual installation, this page tells you the system prompt. You can see the full system prompt of any automation before you install it to your workspace, because automations can run prompts inside of your workspace and you want to make sure that these run the prompts that you want them to. So for example, I want this automation to take my last emails, summarize the most recent ones, and tell me what was going on while I was away, and send it to myself by email. So I'm going to click on use this automation, and every automation will take you through the steps of installing the required connections. Like for example, this automation requires you to connect Gmail. I have already connected Gmail, but if you didn't have Gmail connected, you would see a window that says please connect Gmail, and it would open up a tab to Gmail, and you would then install Gmail. It may ask you for a GitHub token or a Shopify token or any kind of token, and you would have to provide that token, and then you would be able to continue. But in this case, I already have it connected, so I can just click on continue to the next step. It guides you through, and if you get stuck at any point, there are links that it tells you of where to go to get things. So once I'm all set, I can click on install, and the automation has been installed successfully. Now I will be redirected to my automations library where I can see all of my automations, and the first new one will be the mail summarizer. Now, once an automation is in your workspace, you can customize when it runs. Like for example, I have this automation running on a recurring schedule, a daily product update. When you're installing an automation, you don't have the option to create a schedule. But after you have installed it to your workspace, you can create any schedule you like. Like for example, I have this automation running at 23:59 on every single day. I can also make it run on an interval, every 60 minutes, for example. I can make it run just once, or I can even make it run based on real-time events, although this feature is experimental at the time of speaking. I can even have multiple schedules for the same automation and trigger it at different times with different kinds of rules. Once an automation is inside of your workspace, you also have the capability to modify its system prompt. Like for example, I could change the system prompt and say I wanted to take my last 10 emails, for example. You also have the capability to modify the AI model that it uses. The AI model that you choose matters because more powerful AI models give better results. So I may make this use my workspace default model, or I may use any model that I've chosen from the models that I have configured inside of my workspace settings. You can also modify the connections that this can access. For example, this one can only access Gmail, but I may give it access to more connections that I have already configured within my workspace. Like for example, I may give it access to Sanity or Nano Banana or something else like that. I can also change its name within my workspace, and I can change its access level, so I have full control of the automation once it's in my workspace. Now the last thing I want to show before this comes to an end is I want to show that some automations offer a higher level of customizability. Like for example, this GitHub repo daily product update. The first thing it will do, as all automations do, is that it will show me the required connections. But the next thing it will do is to ask for specific details. These specific details are never shared outside of my workspace. But once the automation is installed, this will help the automation to be custom to me. Like for example, this repository list. It will be different for every single person who uses the automation, but this will be intelligently injected into the prompt when the automation is running. Now, before we run out of time, I want to give an example of an automation running. There are 3 ways to run an automation in Chase Agents. The first is to trigger it manually. You can trigger an automation manually from your automations library by clicking on the Run button on any one of your automations. The second is to trigger it via schedule. So you can create schedules for your automations. For example, I have a schedule here running at 11:59 every single day, and I can modify the schedule as much as I like. I can create new schedules. I can have multiple schedules for the same, as I may have explained already. And the third is by creating a webhook. Now, webhooks at the moment are an experimental feature, but I want to go through what that looks like at the moment. So for example, I want to connect this to the Shopify API, and I want to say that this should trigger when I get a new order in my Shopify. And if I click on clarify with AI, an AI model is going to check the clarity of what I just said and ask for some questions just to make sure that the webhook is created correctly. So I'm going to say which specific order status should trigger this webhook, paid or unpaid. I'm going to say any status. Should this webhook be triggered for all orders or only for specific orders, e.g. digital, physical? I'm going to say all orders, and when I submit my answers, got it, continue. My webhook is ready to activate. Now I can click on Activate Webhook Connection. This will begin a webhook connection where an AI agent will set up the webhook for me according to what I've specified. This can take up to 5 minutes, although it may be much quicker. We are actually going to wait for the duration of this video and just to show a real-time update of how exactly it can, how long it takes. And yes, in the meantime, let's talk a bit about webhooks. So webhooks allow your automations to be triggered by real-time events. So rather than just having things run every Monday, we can see it's already done, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, or every specific time, we can allow it to get triggered by real-time events. So this is connected to the Shopify admin API, and it triggers when I get a new order in my Shopify. And just like this, I've successfully set up a webhook so that my automation will be triggered whenever I get a new order in my Shopify. You should be very careful of the prompts that you create. For example, inside of this prompt, and I just want to look at it, I have used variables. So I say customer name, and these customer names, I can change them whenever I want inside of the variables section. But what you'll see is that this automation creates a new order. So what I've done is I've created an automation that is triggered on orders that creates new orders. You should be very careful with webhooks, because I may create something that triggers itself infinitely. So I've created something that it creates new orders, but it has handling built in so that it doesn't infinitely create itself. It creates a tag so that it can know in the future to say, oh, this is actually an order that was created by me in the past, so I don't have to create more orders from this order, and such and such. So the 3 ways to trigger automations is to trigger by creating a schedule for it, creating a webhook for it, or by triggering it manually. Thank you for watching. That's the end of the simple guide to automations in Chase Agents. Please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to comment, feel free to like, feel free to share this, and happy building.